What's up, Zoners? Week 4 of Thursday Night Football is tonight. The Green Bay Packers are hosting the Lions, which means I'm going to be going over the start or sit for the Green Bay Packers, every single position, including the kicker and defense. If that sounds interesting to you, hold on for 7 seconds. What's up, Zoners? This is Tyler, Big Turd Ward, and Banjo, the Dawg, coming at you live from my garage. And this is the Fantasy Red Zone. Today's episode, as I said in the intro, I'm going to be doing play or pause for the Green Bay Packers tonight. I have all my notes typed out, so I might as well share it with you. Here you go. The over and under for this game is at 46. That is pretty much average for the week. Detroit is favored by 1.5 and I do like that because we want shootouts, man. We want close games, especially if you have the running backs in these games. You know, the running backs on both sides will still be involved. The weather is predicted to be 64 degrees and partly cloudy with a chance of meatballs. Only a 1% chance. So first up, we're going to be starting off with the quarterback, Jordan Love. I am going to press pause on Jordan Love. The Lions are only allowing the 19th most points to quarterbacks this year at 16.7. That is not very much. Their defense has been much improved ever since that point last season. Their defense has kind of been, I don't know, top 15. Last week, the Lions defense turned it up on Ritter. He only threw for 200 yards, and he only rushed twice for 3 yards. That is kind of big to me, knowing that Jordan Love relies on his fantasy points. Rushing the ball, dude, is a huge part of his success this year, fantasy-wise. And, dude, Ritter was sacked 7 times last week versus the Lions, which I thought was a big deal. Then I checked to see how many sacks the Lions have. They have 8. Now, Geno Smith did throw for over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns in week 2 versus the Lions, but Geno Smith, to me, is a class above Ritter and Love. Speaking of which, man, Jordan Love is dead last in completion percentage above expectation at negative 9.9. And that is like 3 points below the next person, the next worst person, I guess. He is 3 spots behind Ritter. We just talked about how Ritter couldn't do shit versus the Lions. And then we're talking about Geno being a class above. Dude, Geno has the 3rd best, completion percentage above expected. So, dude, Geno did well, but for a good reason. And with the pressure that the Lions have brought, this is going to be a big thing too. David Bakhtiari, he is questionable. He hasn't played since week 1, and he does plan on playing. But if you know anything about Bakhtiari, it's like always a game time decision. So pay attention because all of these players will get a slight bump if he plays. Lastly, Jordan Love has relied on his legs and throwing touchdowns this year. Lions have allowed only 4 passing touchdowns this season. Next up, Aaron Jones. If he plays, I am pressing play on Aaron Jones. He is running back 24 right now, and he's only played 1 game, dude. Lions allowing the 20th most points to running backs at 15.5. That is not a plus matchup, but the good thing is that he catches passes, right? And Bijan caught 4 passes last week. He is limited at practice today. That I'm shooting this Wednesday afternoon. And as of right now, he was limited in practice today. I do know that he is further along than Christian Watson, supposedly, but still, he is questionable with the hamstring injury. He had 25 fantasy points on only 11 touches the 1 game he played this year, but he did have 2 touchdowns that game. Even if Aaron Jones plays and he does not get that many snaps, he does not need to be that involved to be relevant fantasy-wise. Against the Lions, he has a career 4.8 yards per carry and 3 receptions per game. But hey, he's played on the Green Bay Packers for a long time, and he's played a lot of shitty Lions defenses. This is not one of those. Again, they held Bijan to 10 attempts for 33 yards last week, and the Lions are only allowing 3.2 yards per carry this year. That is 5th in the league, and only 2 rushing touchdowns. Next up, a dude I drafted last year with super high hopes, A.J. Dillon. I am pressing pause on A.J. Dillon. He is running back 51. I just talked about Aaron Jones only playing 1 game, and he's like running back 24. This fool played 2 games without Aaron Jones, and he's still running back 51. He only scored 5.5 and 3 points in the 2 games this year without Aaron Jones. That was his time to shine, and he couldn't do shit. Tyler Algier, the second running back for the Falcons last week, went 7 for 12, dude. So, dude, the Lions are killing shit right now. A.J. Dillon isn't doing anything, and he only faces 8-man boxes 18% of the time. That is one of the lowest rates in the league. And in A.J. Dillon's career, he relies on touchdowns to be fantasy relevant. He has 0 touchdowns in 6 games versus the Lions. We're pressing pause. Next up, we're all waiting for this dude to come back. I did draft him last year. Christian Watson. I am pressing play on Christian Watson if he plays. The Lions are allowing the 23rd most points to wide receivers at 24.2 points per game. That is not great. Limited in practice Wednesday, questionable with the hamstring. So same thing as Aaron Jones. He was limited in practice today. In the 2 career games versus the Lions, he has 128 yards, 7 receptions. But I am looking for him to get like involved early. They need a deep threat so bad in this offense, man. So they have Musgrave, they got Doubs, they have Jalen Reed. All those guys to me are kind of like intermediate and stuff. To just take the top off of defense, Christian Watson, I expect some deep shots to him, even if he is a limited participant. And that is worth it to me, dude. If he plays, I'm pressing play on Christian Watson. Romeo Doubs, I am actually pressing play on Romeo Doubs. He is wide receiver 26 at the moment. He has the same share of the team's air yards as Jaden Reed at 25%. He has the same amount of targets as Reed at 20. But guess what, dude? Doubs had 12 of those targets last game. So recency bias, like how are things trending? Totally Doubs' way. 5 for 73 and a touchdown last game. TDs in 2 of his 3 games. I think that Doubs is going to be the most consistent wide receiver on the Packers this year. If you can pick him up, I think that he doesn't have the ceiling that Watson has, but he's got a much higher floor. So as far as like a wide receiver 3 for yourself, I think that Romeo Doubs can be that. Just talked about him. Jaden Reed, I am pressing pause on Jaden Reed. He is wide receiver 37, but again, like I said, he's getting almost just as involved as Doubs this season, but in the last game or 2, Doubs has been the man. Jaden Reed does have 15 targets and 2 touchdowns in the last 2 games. That sounds amazing, but that was all in the game before last. He only had 3 receptions on 7 targets for 63 yards last week versus New Orleans. But I will say, if Aaron Jones is out and Christian Watson is out, that you can press play on Jaden Reed. But if that is not the case, press pause. Here we go, man. My Oregon State brethren, Luke Musgrave. I am pressing play on Luke Musgrave. He's only tight end 15 right now, right? But guess what? This is one of the best matchups that you can ask for a tight end. The second best, to get technical, but still. The Lions allowing the second most points to tight ends at almost 15 points per game, right? Luke Musgrave has 5.9 yards of separation. That is 4th most in the league right now. So Luke Musgrave is badass. Vintage Pitts. Kyle Pitts, dude, last week versus the Lions had 5 receptions on 9 targets for 41 yards. Fucking Kyle Pitts is getting involved versus the Lions, man. Then Jonnu Smith had 5 receptions on 8 targets. You know what that means? The Falcons had 17 targets to tight ends last week. What does that tell me? When people are looking at the tape, they want to attack the Lions defense. So in the tight end, the middle of the area. And I just talked about how the Lions are killing the run. Well, I think they are sacrificing points to the tight end doing this. So if I had Luke Musgrave or if I had Kyle Pitts or somebody I did not trust in my starting position, I would pick up Luke Musgrave. I think he's available in like 90% of leagues. Plug him in for this week. Next up, the Green Bay Packers defense. I am pressing pause on this defense right now, man. They are defense number 14 on the year. The Lions are allowing the 17th most points to defenses anyways, because they've got a great offense, at 6.7 points per game. That's shit. And the Green Bay defense scored 4 points against Atlanta and 7 points against New Orleans. What do you think is going to happen against the Lions, man? Last up, the kicker, Anders Carlson. It's a hard on. I'm pressing pause on Anders. He is kicker 24 right now? Dude, he had 10 points week 1. Then he had 6 points. And then he had 4 points. He is 1% owned. And the Lions are allowing only the 24th most points to kickers this year. So it's a terrible matchup for him anyways. And he has not been doing shit. I don't know if it's the offense or what. 7.3 points per game. I know they've been walking away with a lot of touchdowns, but still, man. All right, everybody, that is the show. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I earned a thumbs up. Hopefully I earned a subscription if you're not already subscribed. We need it, man. We need it so bad. The government's about to shut down. I'm about to lose my paycheck, dude. Anyways, this is Tyler, Big Turd Ward, and I appreciate you.